It's like this little dirty little bass line.
I don't fucking care. Can we move on to a new segment, please?
Yeah!
Welcome to Just Two Fans, a sports show about sports,
Obviously.
about life,
Because sports are life.
and about just whatever the hell we feel like talking about. So, let's go.
What is up,
What
brother?
Is up?
Special teams,
Everybody.
special players.
What's
Tuesday,
good, y'all?
Tuesday,
I'm Jay
Tuesday.
Freelander. That's Eli Johnson.
Oh God, I can't believe I just did that.
And
Me.
That's what I was hoping for.
Hi, Cameron.
Hi, Cameron.
What's up,
Oh,
guys?
God.
There
It's
it
the
is.
Just Two Fans
doing so
podcast. We're
There
back.
it is.
Not bad. Let's give a hand real quick for We are. Do you Cameron want
Oh,
to to
Oh,
introduce crushing on
Yeah,
social.
I'm
Got a little
Jamie
graphics
Friedlander.
today.
That's Eli Johnson.
Thanks, guys.
And
Maybe
super
somebody will look
producer
at that and be
Cam.
like, "That isn't a fully amateur podcast."
Say hi, Cameron.
Dudes who like don't.
It's
fucking
been a while,
like,
dude. We gotta
millennial
get back
dudes are
in the-
out of touch with
you
that.
know,
We got
swing
a
of
lot of
things.
stuff to
wait a
go
minute.
over right now.
I have
a lot of stuff to go over.
A lot of stuff to get like reintroduced to. You know.
And then
Yeah.
I changed everything.
Jamie is not usually the one that puts us on the
Literally
road.
everything.
I'm not.
This is
It's
listener
going right now.
to his
You did.
story.
We're
moment.
trying out something
Live
new.
it, love
I
it.
And
w-
I
I got
mean,
triggered.
so far,
So far, knock on wood.
Right.
I mean,
Apparently,
doesn't seem too bad.
And I
Seems
mean,
like we're
realistically,
Z
if, like, audio and
is
video don't
canceling
work,
ankle
close your eyes
socks.
to podcast. Like,
Have
Yeah,
you heard
just close
this?
your eyes.
close your eyes.
Whatever.
What
not a
the
big deal.
fuck is that?
Is that what's
like
happening?
weird
Do we
tones.
know?
No.
Yeah.
We don't know.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
dude. Ankle
Oh my
socks
God.
have been like
So-
bad for a while.
That's
But it's
good.
like,
That means
it's
we're
weird,
good.
'cause you can do no shows.
Can
and you
rely
can
on
do
that
like
getting
helmet
the
text.
just above
You
the
guys
ankle
suck.
socks, but
Hey,
specifically
you fucking idiots.
the
Figure
ankle
it out.
socks are what they hate.
Figure.
They don't know what
This
we
is
had to
weird.
go through to have ankle socks when our parents built
Anyway,
a fourth
Eli,
crew,
it's been
'cause they
like
were always
2 months since you
75%
did this show.
cheaper.
Dude,
and
I know.
I had to roll those
Like,
bitches
I-
down,
I,
tuck
I,
them under
went
my
to a whole
toes.
ass other country
No. Here's my whole
since the last time
gripe with
I was
Gen Z
on the
fashion.
show.
All right,
You
And
still
I
have
have
a
a Gen Z
girlfriend?
friend who I talked to about this at length.
I do.
extensively.
Yep, tricked her this long.
Drummer Duck
So,
says there's some audio.
You know,
weird.
I don't
almost
believe him.
almost
Pretty
got to the
incredible.
point
You know
where
what?
like maybe
If
she's
you didn't
brainwashed enough to
redact
stay
so many
with me.
things
You
when we
know?
asked him about stuff, then maybe I believe
I
him
mean,
more often.
it's amazing you
He's not reliable.
brainwashed her enough to
redact
get with you
everything
in
we
the
ask
first
about
place.
NCAA.
Trust me, brother.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah. Drummer Duck. Sam,
Trust
said
me,
you-
brother.
you
I know,
suck it,
brother.
suck it.
So
Sketch.
here's my whole
So
here's my
good.
whole gripes.
Yeah, he was
here's
pretty
my
good.
gripes
He was pretty good. I
about
like how he,
Gen Z fashion.
Announced a draft
Because
pick.
I asked him, I was like, okay,
Like,
And
the
that's the
dude went
draft
from a
describe
nobody
the
in like a
trendiest
year
outfit right now.
to being like the biggest streamer
He
on
goes,
the planet. It's
And
crazy.
did you
goes,
notice that? So
overly
who he
baggy.
announced was a Buckeye,
Vintage
were in
NASCAR
Detroit.
T-shirt.
and people started booing
Okay.
the pick.
Then he goes,
did you see
cargo
like his
pants.
reaction at the end when they were
Okay.
booing?
Oh,
'Cause
or
he,
like
didn't know what
shorts,
to do.
not
'cause he
cargo
thought they were
shorts, but like
booing
like
him.
really short shorts. Which
He
is
was like,
fine.
"Oh shit!"
And then he goes,
Poor
pretty
guy.
you
good.
have to have like
Yeah,
white
okay.
shoes,
It was pretty good though.
and then
All right,
you
we
have
will
to
get
have
to the draft. We
specifically
got a lot
Nike
to catch up on.
socks.
We've
And they have to be like the crew socks.
missed
and-
some
but you
things.
can't pull them all the way up.
Yeah, it turns
They have
out
to
when
be
you miss a month or
slightly
two,
wrinkled, and then
You
you need
miss
like
some
New
stuff.
Balances. And I was like, bro, you understand why we don't like this, right? He's like, why? He's like, because you're dressing like the poor kid I went to middle school with.
Yeah.
Like that is literally the poor kid I went to middle school. Throw on some cargo shorts. That look is complete, my man. So like it's just like it looks like the poor kid from middle school.
It's just so gross.
Yeah, no, the ankle socks are gone. Whatever. I didn't really wear a ton of ankle socks anyway. I kind of wear like the higher ones or the no-show anyway, but like it's like one of those total arbitrary shit where I'm like, I'm still gonna fucking wear them if I have them. Like, I don't care.
Oh yeah, no, I have fully entered the get off my lawn stage of my life.
Fuck yeah, dude. Dude, I'm embracing it now. I'm just gonna embrace it.
Oh
Fuck
yeah,
this.
fully. Especially now that I have like a 7-year-old. My fucking 7-year-old the other day came up to his 4-year-old brother and said, "Dap me up, bro."
Yeah,
And I was just like, what is happening?
dap me, bro. Come on, dap me, bro.
I was like, what is going on? That
Okay,
is
so
bad.
here's an interesting thing that like maybe we like us older millennial boys here can really like it's very interesting. So my girlfriend's 9-year-old plays a ton of video games, right? And I was watching him the other day, and I was noticing that like I wasn't paying. I'm teaching her other son how to play guitar, or sorry, her 11-year-old. I'm teaching her 9-year-old how to play guitar, and so he and I are like learning how to play guitar over there, and the 11-year-old is playing Fortnite. And I look over at one point and I realize he's narrating the whole thing, like I'm listening to him or something. And then I realize it's because he's grown up watching streamers play video games. When we grew up, we didn't have streamers, and so we just played the game.
Yeah, we
and now
figure it out.
He thinks it's normal to like it's a normal way to play video games to narrate everything you're doing. It wasn't like he's going for an audience. It's kind of a funny thing because it's not like a bad thing by any means. It's funny, actually, hilarious to hear his thoughts going through his head. But he is just narrating the whole time out loud, and it's like that is not something that I would do ever. But even when I'm streaming, I'm really uncomfortable. Like even when I've streamed in the past, I'm uncomfortable talking about the game and like what I'm thinking.
Was he like narrating like he was the one playing, or was he like casting it like a sports announcer?
No, he was like narrating. He's like, he says bruh a lot. He's like, bruh, this loot's way better. I'm gonna grab this up, and then I'm knocking down this wall because there's a kid on the other side. He's about to get. He's like, kid, don't even try me. Don't even try me, kid. Here I come. He's like, I'm mounting this wall, and he's like, oh, I need like it's just like arbitrary, like it's just stream of consciousness, like he's talking about the game, and it's just streamer shit. Like it's because he's watched streamers play these games, and so he thinks that's how you play video games.
I blame
which
him,
is like very interesting to me. Like I think it's actually kind of cool to like see that and like how video game playing has evolved.
Yeah. But
I looked over and I was like, who the fuck are you talking to? he goes like, he's like, what? He knew I wasn't listening. Like he's just talking about video games, man. Like it's great.
Fantastic.
He's a gamer, man. Dude, oh god. So can I tell you, here's my moment here. So he plays a lot of Fortnite, and he keeps me like, you want to 1v1 me, Eli? You want to 1v1 me? And ever since I've moved to PC, like controller, I can't play shooters on controller anymore. Like my fingers are too dumb now to do it. But I was like, let me like, let's wait till we can play like when I'm on my PC and you're on the PlayStation, and like we can whatever 1v1. Thinking in my head, I'm gonna humble this kid. Like he doesn't know what PC aim looks like. I got absolutely shit on. I got absolutely. To be fair, I don't play Fortnite. Like I've played Fortnite. Like I've maybe played 20 matches of Fortnite in my life.
Yeah.
Like I don't play Fortnite, but dude, I got absolutely shit on by this 11-year-old. I was just like, "Hey, they're taking over the world, man."
Wait, after he beat you, did you say, "Catch me in Rocket League"? I dare you.
Oh no, I can't. That would humble him.
Come to these courts.
Come to these courts.
I'll put you down, kid.
Throw on Overwatch real quick. Let's see what happens, bud.
Speaking of video games, let's get back on the rails here. We have a video game coming out in 2 months, less than 2 months, that I've been waiting for a fucking decade. As College Football 25. And Torsten, who's on the chat and apparently can't hear me, but hopefully he can now, is trying to like sneak us stuff while not sneaking us anything in our DMs.
He's doing that. This is what he's doing. Torsten is in our DMs right now doing the equivalent of, I know something you don't know.
That's exactly what I thought.
You fucking bitch. He knows. The problem is he knows the power he holds over us right now.
It's awful.
Especially with like the new release, the new info is coming out now that like reviews and stuff aren't embargoed. Like we're gonna get it like all the time now, and up until the game comes out.
I was on the fence about like actually doing this, right? Because I was like, I have to buy a next gen console, and then I also have to buy the game. And so I was like, I was really on the fence, and that's I DM'd Torsten to be like, look, don't tell me anything about the game, but like, is it good enough to buy this, like an Xbox for this? Because that's what I'm gonna do. Is it good enough for that? He wouldn't fucking tell me. So now hearing all the reviews of people being like, no, this game actually kicks ass. Like this is a complete love letter to college football and the way it's played. And now I'm like, I'm in. Like it's like,
oh yeah, I'm
like
100% sold.
like I mean, here's the thing: there are two things that are totally weak. One is their fault. One is not their fault. One, Road to Glory not starting in high school. Torsten, bruh.
That
Weak sauce.
is a tragedy. 100%.
Tragedy. I've so one guy that I was listening to was saying like kind of like there's maybe things on the horizon, like there's things in here that make up for it. They're saying it's a net positive to not start in high school. Is what I've heard. It's a net positive. So I'm holding my breath on it. It's still like, as somebody who like that was my favorite part,
so wrong.
was being like, no, fuck Alabama. I'm going to Oregon. Like,
yeah.
I just ran for 700 yards and 13 touchdowns in this game. Like, fuck Alabama. I'm going to Oregon, or I'm going to Alcorn State. You know, like, so. Well, I'm gonna hold my breath on that one. The other one is that they couldn't get the rights, or they didn't want to buy the rights because they're so expensive to enter Sandman for Virginia Tech. That's just a bummer. Like,
that is a bummer for Virginia Tech fans.
Yeah,
I'm not going to play as Virginia
dude,
Tech.
That's one of the best. I mean, that's one of the best intros, though. Like
100%,
yeah,
it is. You're right.
I would have played as Virginia Tech just to have enter Sandman. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, probably.
Like on like my second or third. Like here's the thing. I'm gonna have an Oregon Road to Glory, right? And then I'm immediately gonna go I'm gonna do Dynasty with Oregon, obviously. Dynasty with or Road to Glory with Oregon, and then I'm gonna do Dynasty with McNeese State, because you have to like build up the program. And then I would do Virginia Tech. Why not for your third, like Road to Glory or Dynasty? Like that'd be fun as shit.
Jamie and I were talking about online Dynasty, the three of us doing the service schools.
So we won't be able to.
Why not?
Because you're going to do PlayStation.
Oh, no, I'm not.
You're not? Oh, you changed your mind?
Volcano Los Dos.
Good. My man. That's good.
I'm not missing out on this top opportunity by buying another console. Like, I'm just going to buy like a Series S secondhand for like $150.
Yep, that's exactly what I'm doing too. But yeah, so I am fully on board. I just wish Torsten would have told us things sooner, because that would have felt really cool. Even if we didn't say anything, it would have felt really cool to be in the know.
We would never do that to you, Torsten. Never.
But NDAs don't actually have that much weight, so I don't know what you're afraid of.
Anyway, I am so fucking hyped for this game.
I'm not going to Xbox so I don't get the smoke from Torsten. It's because 90% of the people I play video games with in general are on Xbox now.
And I already have an Xbox, so I'm not buying a PlayStation just to get this.
Anybody, like, I mean, legitimately, most of the people I play any sort of game with is...
That's why I got an Xbox. I've been a PlayStation guy forever, but...
Me too.
All the people that I ever play with either are PC, which goes well with Xbox, better than PlayStation, or have an Xbox. So that's why I have an Xbox.
Yeah, Torsten, I'm not scared of you. Roll up in War Thunder. See what's up.
You've also had months head start, dick.
Yeah, you've been playing this game for a fucking year. Get out of here.
Yeah, he needs all the practice he can get.
No. The developers probably told you like recruited them on the basis of like them giving you like little tips, like, hey, this in this playbook, this play is going to work every single time if you throw it to A. They know, or X, I guess.
I did see one thing about the gameplay that you know how in like 14, if you did, what was it, HB stretch, halfback stretch with Oregon specifically, it was pretty much fucking impossible to stop. I have read that is like they adapt, and they adapt quickly to stuff like that. Like the in-game AI is unreal. Apparently.
I mean, that's something that I would expect out of a next-gen football game. Right.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's like I would expect the AI to be a lot better than it was in.
But apparently it's like insane. Like compared to Madden, like some of the just like in-game stuff, and then like 5 stars compared to 2 stars, like it's just all super noticeable. Apparently.
Can I tell you the thing that I'm one of the things I am most hyped about from what has been said about this game?
What's that?
is that linebackers will no longer be able to jump 7 feet in the air and catch an interception and also keep up with a really fast slot receiver. That is what I'm very excited about, because that is the shit that would make me turn off games in past years. Madden, in Madden, I don't remember. It's like a Madden 14 or Madden 19, I think is what it was. I just remember the first game I ever played, I downloaded it for free. And then the first game I played, I tried running the ball and it literally just didn't work. There just wasn't, it just didn't work. And then I tried to pass and a linebacker jumped 12 feet in the air, behind his head, interception. And I was like, I never played that game again. This is I'm done.
Yeah. 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 I mean, some of those Maddens suck. This last one wasn't the worst, but in certain game modes, the superstar mode's decent in Madden, but Dynasty is kind of a pain. But anyway, apparently this game is not a skin of Madden.
The thing about Madden is they very clearly focus on Ultimate Team.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
That's the focus for Madden is the Ultimate Team.
Which I have no interest in.
And apparently, again, from what I've heard, and Torsten, maybe you can actually confirm this, is that that was very much not the focus on this game. This focus was the focus was on Dynasty and Road to Glory.
Yep, that's what I've heard too.
So that was
just cool. It sounds like everybody involved in this, and Torsten obviously was involved in this, at least in the recruiting aspect. Everybody involved in making the game loved the game for what it was. So, like you said, it's not just a love letter to college football. It's a love letter to EA, NCAA football.
Yeah.
And, I haven't been this hyped for a fucking game in forever.
I still refuse to pre-order, so I won't be doing that.
I already pre-ordered it. I don't have to pay for it till it's in my Xbox, so I figured it's coming anyway. Might as well pay. And I get the 3-day early access.
What's your job title? What do you think I'm on LinkedIn ever, dude?
Yeah,
sorry, Drummer Duck says she should check the job title.
Yeah, I don't keep
up. Is he the surprise CEO of
that.
some division now, and we just didn't know?
That's what it is.
He's Drummer Duck, I run this bitch. I don't know. Put out a tweet about it, when things change. All right. Yeah. We only talk to you here, actively.
Last time you tweeted that your job was changing. This time you didn't do that. So
maybe he did. I just didn't see it.
It's possible. I am a little busy these days. He's not telling us what his job title is. But anyway, I cannot fucking wait for this game. And now we're talking about college football finally on this show again today. Once we get to it. And it's just, I'm fucking here for it. I am so here for it. Before we get to our first 2 conference previews, feature producer. Okay, wait a minute. You hold on. Torsten?
1, what does that mean?
1, what does that mean? 2, it sounds really fucking important, and it sounds like you should be giving us these games.
Yeah, hey, what the fuck for a minute?
We're the media.
Yeah, wait, hey, motherfucker. We've been giving you hours of free content. Of content that you listen to religiously. The least I could do is get a game, you son of a bitch.
What we'll do is when the game actually comes out, we get some time to play it. We'll bring Torsten onto one of these.
Yeah.
Talk about what he can talk about if he's down. And
that'd be fun.
Or maybe if he can do it a week before it comes out when all the info's out, but we can get some behind the scenes stuff. That would be sick.
At the very least, we should play online with him and just chill the first week or so.
Yeah, but he plays on a PS5.
Yeah, we can't do online Dynasty, but we can do online quick play, I think.
Do online something.
One day we'll talk about the band recordings and commentary sessions.
Hell yeah, dude.
Uh,
Hell yeah, dude.
Hell yeah, dude.
That's like banana
Well,
bread.
congratulations on putting out what is supposed to be a very good game.
I'm so
highly
fucking
anticipated.
the amount of hours that I'm going to play this fucking game.
Yeah, dude. I need to start like
silly.
I need to start like training my girlfriend and being like, look, just so you know, when this comes out, like I'm just gonna start not training, warning her right now of just like you need to know that this is going to be be everything I do.
I need to start telling Kate. Say, you know how you thought that college football season started like Labor Day weekend?
No more.
Actually,
it turns out
it starts right when I get back from my golf trip.
That's the perfect segue. Yeah,
that is brutal, brother.
Now I'm playing video games. We're just gonna we're gonna slip back into our COD 4 like night owl gaming.
I'm gonna be so 20s. Fucking unproductive at nights now.
Oh, that's the man. Those days were great. Of just like staying up till like 4 a.m, just like getting so mad at a video game.
Yeah.
Although no, Modern Warfare 2, I was like all about that game.
Cameron, I think my stream froze.
It's good on my end, so just refresh.
Refresh what? Oh,
Twitch.
That thing. Got it.
When we're closer to Reese, I could join y'all if you want. Yes.
Yep. Yeah.
We want.
We
much want
so much.
Much want. T-Dog.
We'll hit you up in the DMs, bro.
In the DMs.
Gen Z bullshit. Anyway,
don't slide in them DMs,
dude. Okay, so I was sorry, going back to the Gen Z stuff. I was watching a streamer, and I swear to God, every other word he said it was bruh, but he said it like it was like bruh. Let me tell you, bruh. Like I was just like, oh, bruh.
Now we're just skipping vowels.
Bruh. It sounded like he was like like a really small burp, like bruh. That's how he was saying bruh. It was wild, dude. He's like, no, that gun is trash, bro. No, that gun is trash, bro. Brr.
Scary. All right.
Yeah,
couple things before we get to our ACC preview. It's pretty scary. They're terrifying. F1. Let's start there. This shit is getting fun again. Quickly.
Weirdly.
I am here for it. We now have 3 different race winners in the last 4 races,
and we've got 4 total.
4 race winners total.
Yep. And Charles is within 31 points of Max.
Ooh, that's fun.
The Red Bulls are not getting faster.
At all.
Oh, there's a thunderstorm here. Everyone else is getting faster. Ferrari didn't fuck up their strategy because it happened on lap 1. They didn't have the option to. They gave him those hard tires, smacked him on the butt, and said, "Get back out there.
Get out there, buddy.
Go win one for the Gipper." And it worked.
I was so happy for him, man.
Yeah.
That was so cool.
Race anyways, but I'm glad he won. I watched all 77 laps after.
That sucks.
It's pretty bad, man. So let me ask you this. Like there's not much to talk about that race other than the first lap. How do they make it better? Or can they?
Monaco, they don't. The cars have to get smaller. The difference, I was looking at something, and the difference between cars in like 2008, so I think 3 generations of car, the new ones are 2 feet longer and 10 inches wider. And like on a course like Monaco, that's huge. All of the room.
Like, I heard comparison of racing at Monaco is like sprinting as fast as you can in circles in your room.
Yeah.
Like is what it is.
And it's definitely, over the past handful of seasons, it's been you have to get pole and hope that your team doesn't screw up and you win. I mean, Charles is the perfect example. He's had pole position there 3 times. He's only won once because the other 2, he Ferrari'd back when they were popular doing that. So yeah, I don't think there's a way to get it better. I think that with some of the changes they're talking about overall with points, that like it doesn't have as big of an impact because pole position wins and everyone else can kind of close that gap, and that'll reflect in all the other races as well. But yeah, it doesn't get better. It's going to be on there forever. And
Do you
unless
think
they do like the historic races and they race in like the F1 cars from like 1965.
do you think
Which would
mandating
be
2
fun.
stops at Monaco would help?
Not really. Especially since everyone and like Pirelli and F1 want to get more green. If you add a whole extra set of tires, when they're trying to get fewer tires, it's going to kind of be against that. So I think across the board, that's not going to be a thing that happens because it's just such a different change. I could see them maybe when we're doing qualifying going to the format where your tires are mandated based on the qualifying session. So like you go soft, medium, hards.
Yep.
And so that could add a little spice to it. But Monaco is just going to be Monaco. It's not about the race. It's about the weekend. And I watched a couple of the other races. I watched the Porsche Super Cup. That was that weekend. It was like round 2 for him or something. And it's very different because those cars will pass each other because Rubbin's racing when you're in a, not an open wheel. So it's, I don't know. I think Monaco is just always going to be what it is. It's unfortunate that it's a very easy thing for people to compare to like Indy 500 that happens the same weekend and just be talking out of their ass because they're not the same.
Oh yeah.
And that was a comparison that I saw, like 649 passes in Indy 500 and 4 in F1. It's like, okay, but you can put Indy cars on there. Like maybe they race like midget cars or Indy cars for that weekend, but I don't see anything changing. It's just going to be, that's the way the race is.
It's hailing here.
Wow.
I got lightning outside.
It's nice outside here.
You still got the sun too.
It'll be nice here in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Just let the storm go by. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. That race is not about the race at all. And, there was always a thought in the back of my mind, like, how's Ferrari going to fuck this up once Charles got pole? But once that crash happened and he could put the hards on after the first lap, like, you're just going to stick his bows out and drive for the rest of the day.
Yeah, and I think Ferrari's shown this year, Fred Vassar as their principal has completely turned them around.
Total flip.
So I don't know that they would have had it, but I'm glad they didn't have the opportunity because it's the first Monegasque to win Monaco in I think someone said 90-something years. Like to win a race on Monaco's circuit. And I mean, that's cool. And Charles seems like a good dude. And everyone was happy for him, like they were happy for Lando's first win. So I think it's good for the sport. And, if that's the race we get now that, someone's, within distance of Max, who is having a rough weekend, regardless of starting position, I think that it'll be fine.
Max finishing with 8 points is just mwah.
Yeah.
So good.
Well, the best part was he was like annoyed at being behind George.
So, so here's the thing: Charles Leclerc is the first Monegasque to win Monaco.
I think it's
in the World Championship era.
Yeah,
the first since Louis Chiron in 1931.
Yeah, so 90 years, 93 years.
Wild.
Which is crazy that Monaco only has 2 winners of Monaco.
Yeah.
Holy. So. This is bad. I'm in the basement. Like, I shouldn't hear that. It's not good. Oh my God, that's a lot.
Hope your cars are inside.
Oh yeah, they're inside.
I got insurance. Yeah, Helmet, you're close. You're halfway between me and Jamie, so yeah.
So next we have the Canadian Grand Prix. That is next weekend.
It'll be fun.
Should be fun. It's just nice to go into a weekend and be like, wow, this could really be any one of 6 drivers that win.
Yeah, we're not immediately like, oh, Max is gonna win this one.
Yep.
Although
it's fun.
who
He's
knows?
still the front runner.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still probably the best driver in the fastest car. It's not the fastest car on every circuit anymore.
Yeah,
Yes.
and we're only a third of the way through the season.
And to have
with questions.
to have Charles within 25 or 30 something points of him this far in. Like I legitimately asked Cameron Eli on the episode you missed. I legitimately asked him after the first race because Max won by 30 fucking seconds again or whatever it was. I was like, is Max gonna sweep this whole thing?
And I said,
Like
no.
it was what it felt like. You did say no, to your credit. I don't think even you thought it was gonna be like this though.
I didn't think it'd be like this soon. I definitely like when Lando won. I was like, oh, okay. No, I did not think it would be this soon, and I didn't think it was going to be the standings were going to be the way they are with him finishing the races. Like I thought he was going to have
Right.
troubles.
Right. Yeah, that's what you said when I asked. Like, there's
Yeah.
going to be 1 or 2 where his engine fails or whatever, or he gets a puncture or whatever. But for him to like have the car was fine all weekend. He didn't have any issues in qualifying. He was just slower.
Yep.
Like that's what we needed to see, especially as new F1 fans. Guys,
Yeah, I think it's
need to have some parity.
I think
Right,
that's part of
Eli?
it too.
Parity.
Is people focus on the race itself, and rather than the big picture of what the season's going to turn out to be. This is not going to be last season or the last
No.
2.
I think it's pretty clear that it's not last season already.
So, yeah,
Yep. Love it. I love it. I love it. All right.
for sure.
Real quick before we get to college football stuff. NBA playoffs in full swing, almost done. We now have a finals matchup set because the Dallas Mavericks just dispatched the Minnesota Timberwolves in game 5. So we have the 5 seed Mavericks coming out of the West to play the 1 seed Celtics. I think we both said that the Celtics were probably going to win it all.
No, I said the Timberwolves because that's just what I wanted. And they were playing really good ball at the time.
I think I said the Nuggets because I'm a homer, but I said Boston was coming out of the East, so at least I was half right.
It's Celtics.
What do you guys think?
Then the Celtics are going to win it.
Celtics in how many?
6.
Celtics in 6. All right.
I'm gonna go 5.
The Mavs are playing really fucking good basketball.
Matt, and I mean Luka's just unreal.
Unbelievable.
Here's the thing though, like this finals I'm down with because it's like the 2 like superstars are like newer guys, like they're young dudes, like Jason Tatum and Luka Doncic are all like super young guys. And like I like Luka a lot because he looks like he shouldn't be good at basketball, but he like really is. Like he's slow.
It's like Jokic.
On the court. He's kind of like Jokic, except for like it's like he sits there and he's like slowly like bouncing around, and all of a sudden he's got 4 feet of space and he's doing a fadeaway jumper. You're like, what? It's like you're going as like the fastest dudes in the world. How you're not putting on good moves. You're just I don't know what it is, but he's fun to watch.
I agree with you. But I think Boston's just more talented. Drummer Duck in the chat brings up a good point, and we're at the end of an era in the NBA, which just sucks because TNT is losing the rights to games because I think it was NBC came in with like a
Just like a
ridiculous fat offer that Turner couldn't match. and we are losing inside the NBA. So no more Shaq and Chuck and Ernie and Kenny. What that show, I don't even like the NBA, right? Like I've been more invested the last few years because the Nuggets are so good. But I will watch that show anytime I turn it on and it's on. Just because those guys are so entertaining.
For sure.
We don't get that kind of shit in sports anymore. You don't get that. And I hope that they can find a way to bring it to NBC. I know contracts are a total mess.
Yeah.
But it would be an absolute travesty to lose that foursome in the NBA.
Yeah. I mean, it's that one's a travesty, man. That one sucks because you're right. It's like just the clips alone. Like you don't even need to watch the show.
It's so
just like the TikTok
good.
clips of it is just. It's not. It's I like. Yeah, NBC could try to pick it up. It's still not going to be the same. Like because they're not. There's no way they're going to get everyone.
Right? I don't think
Ernie's a lifer.
I don't think they can get Ernie.
I think I saw when they announced it that they can't.
I don't think he would, even if they could.
Yeah.
Right. Like I think he's a lifer. So it's just not gonna be. They're going to try to recreate it somewhere, but it's just not gonna be the same.
The problem is they're going to try to recreate it with different people.
Yeah.
Because Shaq has come out and said that he won't go.
Yeah.
I think Charles owns the production company that produces the show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think he's going to go without.
You know who I would watch?
The other two.
Here's who I would watch. If you got because you got to have at least 2 to 3 NBA guys. Here's who I would get: Iman Shumpert. That man is fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
I would get Dwight Howard. Just get him away from wherever he's at right now because I think that would be funny. And then, if you could get Allen Iverson on that show.
Oh man,
that would be fucking amazing.
Whoever's in charge of the dump button would have to be fucking on it.
Yeah, but they had to be hovering over that button.
Yeah.
Oh, Drummer Duck said Kevin Garnett. That's solid too.
Yeah,
he's solid.
Kevin Garnett would be great.
Whatever they do, if it's not that group, Kenny, Ernie, Shaq, and Chuck, they cannot try to do the same thing. Like it just has to be a totally new. You can't recreate Charles Barkley. He is one of one. That guy is
San Antonio women.
Big old women down in San Antonio.
Big old women down. You ain't going to Cabo, you're going to Galveston with that dirty ass water.
What was he saying? The churros, double fisted the churros.
God damn it. You're going to Galveston. You ain't going to Cabo, you go to Galveston. God, it's good.
Oh, it's just so good.
Have you seen any of have you ever seen interviews with Iman Shumpert and his stories about the NBA?
Yeah.
That dude, I love that man.
Yeah, he would be great on a show like that for sure. I agree. All right, last thing before our favorite thing. The NHL playoffs are in full swing. Nothing crazy. Dallas Stars and Oilers and Edmonton Oilers are tied 2-2 in the Western Finals, and the Panthers lead the Rangers 3-2 in the Eastern Conference Finals. So some better matchups in those series in the NHL. Yeah, that's where we're at.
Yeah,
I have my thoughts about the Avs, but we're going to save it, and I'm not going to go into it now because it's time for college football, and I can't wait any longer.
Pew, pew, pew.
We used to crack open a beer when we would talk about this sport, and now we're old, and
then I had to stop drinking.
Yeah.
Well, stupid me.
Stupid you. All right, so
Stupid
we
me.
are starting with our ACC preview, and
Yeah.
we're going to follow it with our SEC preview. We're doing these pretty rapid fire, so we're just going to give some pretty cut and dry opinions about each team. It's not going to be super in depth. We are obviously, for obvious reasons, saving that for our Big Ten preview.
Yep.
We'll probably do a slightly more in-depth Big 12 preview, just from the Colorado ties with
Colorado, and like there's a lot of former Pac-12 there, so
yeah, so we can jump a little more in there. But Cameron and I are Colorado season ticket holders, so there's something there. But we're not going to go as in depth to that, even as the Big Ten is really where the bread and butter is going to be this year for obvious reasons. So anyway, let's get started. Eli, why don't you give us your quick down and dirty ACC power rankings?
Do you want me to give power rankings and you want me to tell you my little in-depth analysis, or are we going to go back to that?
Why don't you just go team by team? So start at the bottom, go team by team.
Give you what I like, what I don't like.
Yep.
Cool. All right, down at the very bottom in the cellar, I've got Stanford. What I like about it, cupboards are pretty bare. Iomanor, I don't know how to Iomanor. Pretty much the only bright spot on this team. Everything else, what I don't like, everything else. We kind of came up with like our game changer, like things that could change the season around for a team. And that would be Iomanor and the development of Ashton Daniels at quarterback. I don't really see much of that happening, but my overall feeling with them is that they're probably the worst team in the ACC. Going to number 16 was my previous, before I researched, worst team in the SEC or ACC. And that is Virginia at 16. Virginia, what I like about Virginia, Tony Elliott, love him as a coach. He's already made great, like they were abysmal before he got there. He made them marked steps better last year. Maybe not necessarily in the win column, but they looked like a better football team. They looked like they belonged on the field in a couple games. Again, cupboards are bare, but like I would expect that trend to continue with him as a coach. He's been there, right? What I dislike, their schedule. Most of their toss-up games are on the road, which is really unfortunate for them. I don't expect them to win a ton of games here, but yeah. And then the game changer is Anthony Colandrea's development. He had some really nice sparks over the 8 games he played last year. He improved in almost every single game, which was something I was like, I had to double check. Like his stats, pretty much he got crushed in his last game, but like before that, every single game he got better. And so if he can continue to do that, especially with such a brilliant mind, with Tony Elliott at the helm, this team, I don't think they're going to surprise anybody this year necessarily, but I think they have a good future ahead of them. But this year they're still going to be pretty damn bad. Their schedule's just really bad, and there's just not a ton of talent there. Moving up to number 15, I have Wake Forest. What I like about them, kind of like everyone else down in this area, it's just not a lot to be excited about, honestly. Like, it's just kind of meh. What I don't like is Dave Clawson, their coach. After the 2021 like amazing run season, they've gotten markedly worse every single year since then. He's still there, so maybe they see something I don't. But it's a trend that I don't like to see. Their game changer is if he can actually develop their talent, because there's some talent there. There's some good players at Wake Forest. They just don't seem to be doing much with him. And overall feeling, they're going to suck. I mean, like, I think they're going to suck. 14, I have Boston College. If you're a Boston College fan and you're listening to this, don't get too upset with me. But because what I like about them, Bill O'Brien is a slam dunk hire. No ifs, ands, buts or about it. That is a slam dunk hire. What I dislike is it's Boston College, man. Like, when was the last time they were like good? Right? The cupboards were bare. Like, Bill O'Brien's got a mountain ahead of him to climb. So like, it's fucking Boston College, man. The game changer, in my opinion, would be Castellanos. See if he can develop and get better. The theme is going to be a lot of quarterbacks for game changers. There's going to be some here and there that aren't, but most of it is like, is their quarterback any good? Overall, not really super high on this team, but I think if they can retain O'Brien, I think their future is super bright. Moving up to number 14, I've got Pitt. And let me scroll over here. Pitt. What I like about Pitt is they have a new offense. Whole new scheme. What?
Isn't that 13?
Yes, it is 13. Excuse me. 13. Pitt, they have a new offense. An entirely new offensive coordinator, a new offensive scheme, which is great because last year they were awful on that side of the ball. Not really, there's not really many places to go but up in that regard. They were in the ACC. They were scoring like 20 points a game. It's bad. What I dislike, they lost a ton of key players on the defensive side specifically. Pat Narduzzi needs to figure that out quickly, or he could see himself very quickly at the bottom of this list rather than at 13. Game changer. I don't really know if there is one. There's just not a lot of great players or talent on this team, and they're implementing a lot of new things. So I really just don't see anything really like changing the season better or for worse. Just they kind of are what they are. Just kind of a pretty bad team. Moving on to 12, I've got Syracuse. Initially I felt like this was like kind of low, just because like they had such a great run early in the year last year, and they were kind of like the talk of the town. They got ranked a few times, and but like kind of looking over at a quick glance, again, we didn't like super deep dive this, so I could be off a little bit here, but I don't really love a lot about this team. I don't hate a lot about this team. It's just kind of really middle of the road. Nothing really stands out to me here. They did get Kyle McCord, which is actually what I dislike about this. If he couldn't be elite with the core he had at Ohio State, like, what do you think he's going to do well at Syracuse? Like, yeah, the competition's less, but is it? Like, outside of Michigan last year, is it? I don't know. The game changer is McCord's development. Like, if he can be the 5-star that he was supposed to be coming out of high school, sure, they could go a lot higher on this list. But I'm just not a big McCord fan. So my overall feeling is they were a fun story last year. They fell off hard once they got in the meat of their schedule. I just kind of feel like they're just a mid team, and that's just where they are right now. And that's okay. You're not going to have a great year every year. At 11, I have Cal. What I like about Cal is their trajectory. It's no secret that they got screwed by COVID, and they're clearly still recovering from that in a lot of ways. I think Wilcox has shown that he has the patience and dedication and willingness to do it. It's just a long road for them to come back from this COVID stuff. I mean, they got so far behind at such a pivotal like change in the game that they're still catching up, and I think that still shows. Also, Jaden Ott. I mean, what's not to like about Jaden Ott? He's insanely good. And
I was
good
hoping
dude.
you were going to say
that. Also, Jaden Ott. What I dislike their defense, because while they return a bunch of experience, the experience that's coming back wasn't good last year. So they need a lot of growth there in order to become competitive. My game changer for them is Chandler Rogers, transfer quarterback from University of Northern Texas, who on paper is an upgrade from last year. But coming from UNT, I really need to see it to believe it. So that's my game changer. He's a total wild card for me. They could come out and they could be 16 on this list if he sucks. They could come out and they could move up to, I don't know, probably 6 or 7 on this list if he lights it up. It's kind of what it is. Overall, I feel like Cal's on the cusp of being like a competitive team, but they're just not quite there yet. I think they need another year or two before they're like actually kind of back in the fold. Next, over to Georgia Tech. What I like about Georgia Tech, Haynes King. He was last year's breakout star. Who would expect Georgia Tech to have like an incredible quarterback, right? Though they're not really running the triple option anymore. Like who would expect that, right? So he was good last year. He's a lot of fun to watch. He does need to cut down on his interception ratio, which is, I think he will. I mean, he's a good player in a good staff. He'll be fine. What I dislike, their defense is not good, just not good, all around, not good, and they need a lot of help. The game changer is the new defensive staff who joined this year. They have a whole new staff. But they have a bear pantry and a lot of hungry kids to feed. So we'll see how they can get that done. So overall, I really like King, but without a solid defense behind him, I don't think he can really carry them like out of this mid-bottom tier of the conference. So yeah, I think they're going to be fine. They're not going to be great. I'm not really high on the ACC as a whole, if you can tell.
That's going to be a thread, common theme.
Yeah.
As we continue, real quick before you continue, quick round of applause for the graphics that Cameron made us.
Oh yeah.
Oh, thanks.
We love that. Well
we
done,
actually
buddy.
look like we know what we're fucking.
We
doing
actually know what we're doing now. Look at us.
All right, continue.
Okay. Going into number 9 on this list. This team, I was struggling so hard to figure out where to put them. Because on one hand, what I like about them, I love Mac Brown. I think he is one of the greatest college coaches to ever be in the game. I really do. But what I dislike about this team is pretty much the rest of the team. Like they were, well, I'll get back to that in a second. But my game changer is Jeff Collins. He's the new defensive coordinator. They were bad last year, and especially bad against the run. So he needs a big turnaround to really be competitive. So my overall feeling is like, I think they'll struggle. They were barely above water last year with a top 5 draft pick at the helm. So that doesn't really bode well when he's gone, and they didn't really fill the gap anywhere. So this is one, like I put them at 9 because I can pretty much see them near the bottom and not really near the top. But like, I think I kind of put them closer to where I think their ceiling is. I think just because Mac Brown is Mac Brown.
Yep.
So that's where I put him.
Okay.
Number 8, I have Duke. Now, a lot of people are really low on Duke. A lot of these like power rankings I've seen when I was kind of doing my little research have them in like the 13 or 14 spot. I disagree with that so hard. Because at first I believed it. I was like, yeah, they lost their coach, they lost quarterbacks, blah, 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 blah. But then I realized like they got Malik Murphy, who, and this is what I like about them. They got Malik Murphy. Malik Murphy's a stud. He was a stud when Ewers was down at Texas, and he's going to be up against largely worse competition in a lot of ways. They have a nice schedule. And so I expect them to kind of light people up. And like, maybe this is a hot take. I like Manny Diaz. I don't think he's a terrible coach.
I don't think that's
and so what I like about them is they have a lot of work to do on defense, but luckily they have Manny Diaz, who is an incredible defensive mind, who when he was at Miami, they like had some of the best defenses out there. Right. So my game changer is obviously Malik Murphy. I think he's a stud. I liked a lot what I saw at Texas, and I thought that was a kind of a big blow when he left Texas to Texas, even though they have Arch and Quinn Ewers, but I think he's gonna be good. So I think that's my game changer for him. Overall, like I said, I'm a lot higher on this team than a lot of people are. But I think they filled the gaps really nicely to what was a pretty good team before. I think they really filled the gaps nicely. And I don't think they fall off as hard as people think. Number 7, I've got SMU. This is another team I struggled placing. What I like about them is they return a lot of offensive production. I mean, a lot of the contingent from last year's 11 team is coming back. However, on the flip side of that, what I dislike is they're moving to a new, more competitive conference. Now, much more competitive, debatable, but it is
Man,
more
you're really down on the ACC.
No, I'm not that down on the ACC, but like it's going to be a much harder conference. So like going 11-3 in the AAC translates to like 5 or 6 losses in the ACC.
I think that's about right.
So it's really going to test what they can do week in and week out. And so the game changer is just how do they adjust? How do they adjust to playing hard teams, largely hard teams week in, week out? Nobody like, even though like Virginia and Stanford aren't good teams, like they're not going to be very good. Like those guys would be 3rd or 4th in the AAC.
Yep.
So like, how do you play that? How do you play a top 3 matchup in your conference every week? And my overall feeling about SMU is that Pony Excess is the best 30. That's my overall feeling about SMU.
I like it.
Moving on, at number 6, a team that I have lower than a lot of people is Miami. What I like about them, talent. They have a fuckload of it. Unbelievable amount of talent. It's no secret that they should be competing with the best teams day in and day out because they have talent and depth everywhere. What I dislike about them, Mario Cristobal. And this is not sour grapes. I promise it's not sour grapes because I actually have a lot of positive feelings toward Mario Cristobal because he left Oregon in a much better place than it was. Right? Not like I guess Willie Taggart kind of did the same thing, but Cristobal did not leave the cupboards bare. He he started a recruiting trail that Dan Lanning picked up and moved with. I actually do like Mario Cristobal, and I think he is a pretty good head coach. But year after year, we've seen him stack a room with talent and not do a whole lot with it. Not necessarily like they're not good teams or they're not well coached. But like, it's just like, like he's got all this offensive talent and then he runs the most boring offense in the world. Right. So it's he's just like, he's literally just not doing a lot with his talent. So my game changer is Cristobal getting out of the way of his talent. Right. Like we've seen him be a stubborn dude, just an incredibly stubborn man. And if he can do that, if he can step aside, put aside the ego a little bit and let like his coordinators and his players do the job he brought them there to do and just make sure that they're focused or whatever the head coach does. Right. They could very easily be top 3 very like instantly if he can kind of step aside and let them do their thing. But again, I'm kind of in a let's see it mode. Right. So my overall feeling is while I have them fairly low in my rankings because of my feelings with Mario Cristobal on that, they could be in the top 3 of this list in week 2, right? Like, and they also have a favorable schedule. So with 2 of their 3 hardest games being played at home, like that helps them a lot. Do you really trust Mario Cristobal to not drop 2 or 3 really fucking dumb games though? So we'll see.
I don't want to answer because I'm going to give away mine. We know how Drummer Duck feels based on the chat, but we'll get to mine. I'm not going to respond, but go ahead.
I haven't read it yet. have all my spreadsheet up right now. At number 5, I have Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is up here, and what I like about them is their momentum. College football is a momentum game. You can see teams get so hot and just roll through, and that is exactly what Virginia Tech did last year. They were red hot at the end of the year. And with Kyron Drones returning as their starting quarterback, I would expect them to surprise a lot of people this year, and I think they're gonna roll, man. I think they're gonna be pretty damn good. Maybe not pretty damn good, but they're not gonna be like they're gonna be. Also, enter Sandman. That's what I like about their team. I fucking love that. It's so sick. What I dislike about this team, I think that like as I was looking through it, there wasn't much I disliked about the team. My problem with Virginia Tech is that they just don't seem to have the talent level that other teams have. Like they're just not quite there talent wise overall. Like none of the guys are bad, but they don't really like outside of like Kyron Drones, like they don't really have standout guys like these like oh my freak athlete guys. So that's kind of my 2 cents on that. Their game changer, it's the easy pick. It's Kyron Drones. If he can continue his momentum from last year, he's the guy. Overall feeling, I really like this team. I don't love this team. I think they'll be solid, fun to root for. I think college football is better when Virginia Tech is good. So, there's that. Moving on to NC State at number 4. Hold on. Scrolling. What I like about them, I really like the McCall pickup. Pair that with returning a lot of production, this team could be really great. They really could be. What I dislike about them, they have to replace some absolute studs on the defensive side of the ball. Just game-breaking guys. But they do have depth, so I'm not too worried about it, but it could become a problem. My game changer is Tony Gibson, their defensive coordinator, his ability to moneyball the defense, because they need to replace some guys in the aggregate is what's going to have to happen out of this defense this year.
Yep.
But my overall feeling is this team is really intriguing. I can see them in a lot of spots. I could see them in a lot of spots on the power ranking, like up and down, right? I could see them winning the ACC. I could also see them being one of the bigger letdowns of the season. So, you know, I'm gonna go on the higher end because I just like the team, and we'll go from there. Number 3. I thought I changed this. Wait, hold on. Am I going off script here? Did I not change it on the? I thought I moved Clemson down to 3.
Not in the text you sent me.
Yeah, I must have. Anyways, I'm rolling with it. Fuck it. Number 3, I've got Florida State. We're just gonna roll. What I like about them is their defense. They return a lot of guys from a pretty damn good core last year. I expect them to just continue on to build on what they did last year, which was pretty good. My dislike, this is not a dislike of himself, but DJU. Look, he's not bad, but he's not going to be Jordan Travis. He's just not. He doesn't have the ceiling of Jordan Travis. He's also the game changer for me because if he there's talent, right? DJU has the talent. It just feels like it hasn't been unlocked yet, which I don't really think is his fault. I don't think Jonathan Smith really tried to do anything with him last year. So maybe Norvell is a good enough coach, which I think Norvell is a fantastic coach, to actually get DJU playing to what his potential seems to be. But right now he kind of looks like maybe he was just mid from the beginning, and that is kind of why I've put them lower on my list. So, like, my overall feeling is I feel like without the star QB, they're going to probably drop a few games this season in a not great conference. Still probably a playoff team. Number 2, I have Clemson. So what I like about them is I like Cade Klubnik in his second season as their starter. I actually ended up liking Cade at the end of the year. I kind of liked his game. So maybe in the second year under Garrett Riley's offense, he'll be more comfortable and he can just ball out. Talent's there, so we'll need to see what happens there. Dislike, Dabo needs to get with the fucking program. Like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? The transfer portal is a thing you need to do. Stop. Like, you need to fill gaps with transfer portal now. That's how football is. I understand you don't like it. A lot of people don't like it. We don't love it. Right? Like, I miss kind of the old days of, you're basically trapped out of school, whatever. Like that, yeah, it sucks for the player, but it's fun for us. But like he can't retain players anymore, like, because they're gonna transfer out and he's not bringing people in. So his program is attrition right now. And so how long can he keep this up? Right? Because they're still good. I think they're still a good team. But like, how long will they continue to be a good team? So we'll see. It's out for debate. That section is why I thought I dropped them lower than 2. But here we are. My game changer is Cade Klubnik. We'll see how he does. My overall feeling is I feel pretty good about the team. They're still Clemson in the ACC, right? So while I'm not as good as they were in the past, I still think they have a great season because it's Clemson in the ACC still. And then my number 1 overall, if you haven't been counting down, is Lawville. Where you're not looking at the screen. So I don't have the stream up because I have all my workbooks up, so I haven't seen anything. There's the thing I like about them, their transfer class. It's great. They got a lot of really nice and underrated gets for Jeff Brom. And I am personally excited to see Tyler Shuck in this offense. So I like that's a personal thing. But I think they really nailed down a lot of their weaknesses from last year, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I think they went to the transfer portal and went, hey, we sucked here. Let's go get these guys that can help us out there. So I think they really shored up a lot of the weaknesses they had last year. And they were good last year, right? They were good last year. And I think they got a little bit better. What I dislike, not much. I really like this team. I think they're not bulletproof by any means, but like, I like this team a lot. I think they're going to be a really good team. The game changer is whether or not the meshing of the transfer portal athletes can come together. That's going to be like a lot in college football now, is like, can these guys mesh in a year? So far, sometimes yes, sometimes no. So my overall feeling is I really like this team. And while everyone is probably and smartly picking Florida State to win the ACC, I'm picking Louisville. So that is my power rankings for the ACC.
I like it. I mean, I think we'll get into mine here real quick.
Oh boy, sorry. I just pulled up the chat.
We'll get into mine here real quick. I think we have essentially the same tier structure, right? Like, I think we agree for the most part who's the top of the conference, who's mid, who's bottom. There's definitely going to be some shuffling. So I'll quickly run through mine. In a lot of these cases, I fully agree with, your strengths, weaknesses, whatever. So I'll just quickly run through mine, and we'll have a little banter at the end before we get to the SEC. At the 17 slot, I have Virginia. I debated for a while about putting Stanford in this slot. As I looked at it, I just really don't like just about anything about Virginia, and don't get it twisted. I don't like a lot about Stanford either. So this is like 16A and B for me. the things I like about Virginia, they do have a fairly strong wide receiver room, and I do like Tony Elliott. So those are my strengths, and I think those kind of match what you said. What I don't like is pretty much the rest of the football team, and how you can feel any sort of good about going into a season where your quarterback battle is between Tony Muskett and Anthony Colandria. That's big yikes. So pretty much not good. The difference maker for this team, or what's going to make a difference for them, luck. Like somebody just figuring out how to play football who didn't know how to play football before is what's going to figure it out for them. Outlook, it's hard for me to see Virginia even winning a football game, to be honest. There's like the Stanford Virginia game's kind of a coin flip. But they're just going to be pretty bad.
Yeah.
At 16, I have Stanford. I alluded to that. Much like you, what I like is Alec Ayomanor. That's about it. If you're a Colorado fan, you don't need to ask why. That guy is an absolute animal. What I don't like, again, is the rest of the team. So,
yeah, everyone else sucks.
That's pretty much it. The rest of the team's terrible. Stanford's going to have a really rough go in the ACC. I think recruiting's going to be even harder than it already is. I feel bad for Stanford, which as an Oregon fan is something, because I never felt bad for them, but it's going to be a rough go for Stanford here for a while. Overall feeling, they have a chance to beat teams like Wake Forest, Virginia, and Cal Poly, but that's about it on their schedule. I really almost put them at 17 for the sole fact that I really think the travel and playing in the Atlantic Coast Conference as Stanford is going to be an absolute drag on that football team. So don't be shocked if a week or two into the season you just see Stanford rocking the bottom of the ACC power rankings. 15, I have Wake Forest. Again, I just don't have a lot to like here. I think Hank Bachmeier is an upgrade at quarterback, but we're talking about a 1-7 football team in the ACC.
Yeah.
Like they were 1-7. It's just not good. I expect them to be pretty bad again. Can they get the most out of what they have? This is the Wake Forest is going to be all about coaching. Like you said, don't feel great about that, but can they turn it around? That's their only chance. Overall outlook, again, bad. So those bottom three is really just like the bottom of the conference. From there. At 14, I have Pitt. This is where it starts to improve a little bit. Most of the projected starters for next year were on the team last year, so continuity is going to be a good thing for a team that struggled a little bit. I like Pat Narduzzi. However, Pat Narduzzi is trending towards a Dabo Sweeney type attitude when it comes to things like the transfer portal. And he's trying to build this team through continuity and growth through recruiting. And it's just pretty clear that that's not going to work out. Nate Yarnell is the best they've got at quarterback, and they don't have a ton of really viable weapons around him. So I think Pitt's going to struggle. Difference maker again. This all depends on Narduzzi's ability to develop talent, because they aren't using the portal the way they should. Not a ton of optimism here. I guess the only optimism, if you're a Pitt fan, is you're not quite as bad as Wake Forest, Stanford, or Virginia. That's about it. Boston College, much like you, what to like. Bill O'Brien, slam dunk fucking hire. Just
Slam
absolute dunk. Knocked that out of the park. Don't know if they could have done literally any better with being who they are and all of that. So I think that's huge. I think he should be able to get as much out of Thomas Castellanos as anybody could. Bill O'Brien's an offensive genius. So I think that's going to go well for them. What I don't like, this is going to be a common thread for the rest of the ACC, their defense. Their starters are decent. Their depth is and was last year an absolute liability. Are you eating pizza? What are you eating?
Yeah. I realized I hadn't eaten anything and I got hungry, so I muted myself and I was eating pizza.
Yeah.
Let you have your moment.
That's what I thought. Difference maker is Castellanos. He is a young talent who he showed signs of being really good. He's just super raw. So if Bill O'Brien can develop Castellanos and get as much out of him as he could, you might see Boston College start to make some waves in the ACC and win some games they're not supposed to. Duke, what to like? Much like you, and this is why I said it's not a hot take. I think Manny Diaz is a great hire for a team like Duke. I, too, have on here that Malik Murphy is a great quarterback to bring in from Texas. I also really liked what he did at Texas last year. I think he could be a good difference maker for Duke. The reason I have them significantly lower than you have them is I think Malik Murphy's an upgrade, but if I'm looking at the roster or their projected starters right now, some of their O-line don't even have projected starters. So the lines are going to be an absolute liability, especially the O-line at Duke. So that may limit Malik Murphy's impact on this team. It's also really hard to win as a first-year head coach, especially if you're coming into a team that's been decimated by transfer portal and departing talent. So I see a lot of potential with Duke. I think they're making some good moves. I think Manny Diaz is going to be good in the long run. I just don't see it in year one. So that's why I have them.
This is like the only team I didn't look at the depth chart on because I was like, whoops.
That O-line is going to be a liability, man.
Well, they just have zero depth anywhere.
It's going to be, it's going to be rough.
God, of course, like the one team I didn't look at the depth chart on. Oh, well.
At 11, I have Cal. Getting Jaden Ott back is massive. I think the offense is going to be pretty good. There's a lot of continuity with Cal up and down the roster. What I don't like about Cal is the most important position in sports is the biggest question mark. Fernando Mendoza's coming back. He was less than great last year. He was showing signs of improvement. And ACC defenses are significantly worse than what he faced in the Pac-12. So he could legitimately take a step forward, but he's also my difference maker. They're going to go kind of as he goes. The defense is a liability, as you mentioned. But that's a common theme around the conference. So I think defense being a liability is not necessarily kryptonite in the ACC because the rest of the conference, except for maybe the top tier teams, have pretty abysmal defenses. Overall outlook, again, much like Stanford, I think the travel distance and the ACC schedule and everything that goes with that is going to be a bit of a bear to navigate. So we'll see how Justin Wilcox can do that. But this is where I think the talent starts to flip in the conference. And we're getting into that next tier up. At 10, I have Syracuse. I have them a little higher than you did. I like the addition of Kyle McCord. I think Kyle McCord felt the pressure of being the quarterback at The Ohio State, and I think it just got to him. You said all the talent there, which is totally valid. And I think that is a reason to be skeptical. But I also really like Fran Brown as a head coach, and what he's been able to do to bring some juice into that program and recruiting in a very short time frame is impressive. So I like Fran Brown, and I think Kyle McCord with Fran Brown has the ability to kind of turn it around a little bit. What I don't like, I mentioned that they've done a good job filling roster gaps with their recruiting and using the portal. Consistency is going to be an issue with this team. You got a brand new head coach. It's just hard to do it with a new head coach and a team that doesn't already have top tier talent. Difference maker, surprise, it's the defense and Kyle McCord. Overall feeling, I like Syracuse as an upset threat, right? And Syracuse has kind of been that for like the past decade. Like they just seem to win a game or two every year that they have no business winning. I like that to continue. I don't think they have a ton of staying power at the top of the conference, but I think they have the ability to surprise some folks. At number 9, I have North Carolina. I love Mac Brown like you do. Again, one of the greatest head coaches ever. I just think there are way too many holes in this team for me to get them much higher. The defense looks to be heading in the right direction. They do have some continuity on both sides of the ball. The problem is they don't have continuity at the most important position in sports. The quarterback being a question is going to hold back any team in my power rankings.
Yep.
So the difference maker again is the offense. Can somebody step in there and surprise me? Because I don't think we've seen it in the spring, heading into the fall. Overall feeling, this just feels like a middle of the road ACC team. Nothing special, not terrible. They're just going to be kind of there, I think. At 8, I have Georgia Tech. I'm pretty high on Georgia Tech overall. Haynes King, I think, is a bona fide stud at quarterback. If he can eliminate some of the errors that he had last year, they can continue to be explosive. And Jamal Haynes coming back at running back. It's just a surprisingly explosive Georgia Tech offense last year. And if Haynes King can eliminate some of those costly mistakes, I think they'll be good. What I don't like, again, is the defense. Just the polar opposite of the offense for Georgia Tech. The defense was absolutely atrocious. So if Georgia Tech is going to be better than middle of the road, that defense needs to take a step up. I like this team a lot overall. There's enough red flags, especially on the defensive side of the ball, for me to keep them right in the middle of the pack. 7, I have Virginia Tech. Again, a little lower than you. I do like Brent Pry a lot. He seems to be rebuilding the program kind of the right way. They went through a rough patch there. And I think they're doing this the right way. There's a lot of returning talent. Cohesiveness should aid in year 3 of his system. So I think they're going to be pretty solid. What I don't like, this is just, to me, where the talent gap seems to start from the top tier teams. I like the team. I like the coach. I just feel like there's a talent deficiency at Virginia Tech that's going to keep them from entering that top tier. The difference maker for me is Enter Sandman. Love that shit.
Solid.
Overall feeling, I like this team. Like I said, I like them a lot. Wealth of returning experience. I would not be surprised if they ruin some seasons at the top, just because I think they're solid. Just I don't think they quite have the staying power. At 6, I have SMU. SMU, as you kind of mentioned, they're kind of hitting their stride at the right time as they make the jump into a power conference. At the same time, what I don't like is they're jumping into a power conference, as you said.
My comp was like Utah joining the Pac-12
Yeah,
because like they were hitting their stride. And they were doing really good in the Mountain West, and they came into the Pac-12. And the first couple of years were rough.
Yep.
Even though they were good, it was still rough.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and rough in the ACC means you're just sixth, which is pretty damn good. Right. So the top tier talent just isn't quite there, which is not surprising. They're coming from a mid-major conference. It's going to be hard to compete right away. How quick can the players adapt to the faster pace and harder hitting and everything that comes with being in a power conference? That's going to be the big thing. I think overall feeling, this feels like a top 6 team in the ACC, but I also feel like I won't be surprised if I see them down in the 9, 10, 11, 12 range halfway through the season, because I feel like they're going to lose some of those games that they shouldn't lose to, like Stanford or the teams that are in the bottom of the conference, but it's not what they're used to being the bottom of their conference. 5, I have Clemson, and this is where we're going to start to vary dramatically. What I like and what I don't like are basically the same thing. Player development is lost in most college football rosters. It is definitely not lost in Clemson, because that is what Dabo is sticking to, whether it kills him or not. So I like that. What I don't like is their inability to use the transfer portal and fill gaps where they need to. And I don't like that it is a total cult of a program. I don't like that either.
Dude, I went to like, I was looking at like recruiting rankings and stuff, and I went to the transfer portal rankings for the ACC. Clemson says NA. Like, they actively are like, it's not like 0 or last. It just says NA. Like, it's like
they don't get transfers.
So he's like shut down on the Clemson side. Like, you don't transfer here.
Yeah, it's weird that he's just dying on that hill.
It's the second biggest cult in college football.
You said you liked Cade Klubnik. He's on my don't like list. I just don't feel like he is him to be at the top of a major conference. I don't dislike the guy, and I think he's a solid football player. Just if you've got a team that's unwilling to go out and get transfer portal talent, I just don't know that Cade Klubnik can carry the program the way that they're going to need him to. That being said, Cade Klubnik is a difference maker. If he does what you think he's going to do, Clemson could be a top 3, top 2 team in the conference. If he does what I think he's going to do, I think 5 is a pretty adequate spot for Clemson. The talent's still there, still a really good team. They're just starting to slip, and Dabo's stubbornness is, I think, ultimately going to be their downfall. At 4, I, like you, have NC State. I really like this program. I really like Dave Doran. There's not a lot on this roster and this team for me to not like. The addition of Grayson McCall should really help the offense. I really like him at quarterback. The stuff I don't like, there's a bit of a talent gap from the top to here, but not huge. But NC State, go ahead.
My thought was like, the talent gap is there for sure, but like the talent gap for Doran is also like he's one of those guys who can just get guys to play. Kind of like DeBoer at Fresno State. You can just get guys to play.
Yeah, he can. With that, and I think I saw it come up in the chat, Cameron. Let me know if I'm wrong. I think when you were talking about NC State, the one thing that NC State needs to do that they have not shown an ability to do in the past few years is win a big road game. If they face Clemson or somebody later in the season and it's a top matchup and they're competing for an ACC, to win one of the divisions in the ACC or be in the ACC championship, they just can't seem to get over that hump and beat the top tier teams. So for me to get them into that top 3, I have to see them go on the road and beat one of those top tier teams.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at with them. I would not be surprised at the end of the season if NC State is in the ACC championship game. That would not surprise me. I like that team a lot. At 3, I have Louisville. I like Jeff Brom a lot. I think this roster is built for success. They've done a good job filling all their needs in the transfer portal. I really hope that you're correct and Tyler Shuck shows what we think he can show there. I don't know if he can stay healthy. He hasn't been able to his whole career.
Everyone's injury prone till they're not.
If Tyler Shuck stays healthy and he does what we know he can do and it does it on a consistent level, this team is going to be in the ACC championship.
Yeah.
The consistency hasn't quite been there and his health certainly hasn't. So we'll see. I like this team a lot. So we're into the top tier here with the ACC. So that's where I have Louisville. At 2, I have Miami, significantly higher than you have them. This team is loaded with talent. Mario Cristobal continues to recruit at the highest level. The addition of Damian Martinez and Cam Ward can make that offense a legitimate threat. What I dislike is Mario Cristobal for the same reasons that you do. Inability to implement.
That's why you were smiling during that segment. I thought you were disagreeing with me and you're like, I can't wait. And I was like, no, he just agreed with me fully.
Inability to implement a QB kneel in the playbook is just unacceptable on so many levels. So can he get out of his own way? Is he going to let Cam Ward be Cam Ward, or is he going to put shackles on him like he did for Justin Herbert for 4 years, right? So that's what it's going to come down to. All the talent in the world on this Miami team. And ultimately, if you take play calling and Mario Cristobal out of the equation, I think Miami might have the best roster in the ACC.
Probably.
But can Mario Cristobal get out of his own way? That's the question. I'm less down on them because of Mario Cristobal than you are, because Mario Cristobal went 12-2 with Oregon in 2019 and won a Rose Bowl. So it's not like and that's in a better conference, right? So I'm not going to totally hamstring them because of Mario Cristobal, but that is absolutely why they are not the number 1 team for me.
Yeah.
Number 1, I have Florida State. I disagree with you on DJU. I think you kind of touched on it. I think DJU was heavily held back by Jonathan Smith's. I knew I was going to screw that up. Jonathan Smith's offensive scheme. I think Mike Norvell is going to get everything out of DJU that you would want.
I hope so. Like, I like DJU.
I do too. I like him a lot.
I'm rooting for the kid. I just don't know what he is.
I like him a lot. I don't like Florida State at all. I actually despise Florida State. But I like DJU, but he's my difference maker for them. I'll just jump to that. Florida State's going to go as DJ goes. If DJ struggles, he turns the ball over, he's inconsistent, Florida State's going to lose football games. If DJU is the 5-star prospect that he was coming out of high school and they can get every ounce of talent out of him that he has, the sky's the limit, really, for Florida State in the ACC. What I don't like about this team, lots of turnover on defense. So how quickly can that unit gel and get up to speed? Luckily on defense, it takes less time than on offense generally to gel. And they have the talent to do it. So we'll see what happens. In a weak conference, my outlook, in a weak conference, I think Florida State is the team to beat until proven otherwise. So that's where I'm at in the ACC. Again, I think you and I mostly agree on most of these.
Yeah, or at least the same region.
Yeah. Outliers are Miami. I think I had Syracuse,
Duke,
quite a bit higher than you, and Duke lower than you. But overall, I think we're about in the same. If we're looking at the conference as a whole, I think both of us agree there's 1 to 5 like really good teams,
mm-hmm.
and the rest are mediocre to bad at best, bad at worst.
Yeah.
And then the bottom tier of the ACC is about as bad as it gets.
Yeah. Real bad.
Yep. So the ACC goes as the top goes.
Yep. That's very true.
All right. Let's move on to the SEC.
Let's keep going, baby.
You want me to go first this time? You want to go first?
Well, let's break it up.
Okay.
So I'll go first. So we're not one of us is talking for 40 minutes straight or whatever. Okay, cool. I'm just gonna start it out. SEC power rankings.
Actually, let's do this. I think our top 10's close. Cameron, let me know if I'm wrong. I think our top 10's close. So from 16 to 10, let's just go back and forth so we can
gotcha.
Speed through the part that doesn't really matter. And then when we get to the top 10, I'll let you do yours and then I'll do my top 10.
Yeah, cool. You guys only differed at, looking really close, 9 and 10.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
All right. Go ahead.
Okay. So at 16, I have Vandy because it's Vandy. That's literally my only note on Vandy is it's Vandy.
That's really good. What do
you expect?
I also have Vandy. I think Clark Lee has the toughest Power 5 job in the country. Vanderbilt's
either him or Stanford.
Yeah,
I can't think of the guy's name.
That's true. Yep.
Those two.
It's just really, he's 2-22 in the SEC over his first 3 seasons. It's just not going to get any better. So I agree.
Okay. At 15, I have Mississippi State. What I like, I'll do likes and dislikes now because it's not Vandy. What I like about Mississippi State, I really like Jeff Lebby. I like that hire. I think it's a really good fit for them. He's got a really nice offensive mind, and that's kind of what they're going for. And so that's what I like about them. What I dislike, this roster real bad. This is one of the least talented rosters in the SEC as it stands today. Mike Leach, RIP. His thing wasn't about talent necessarily, it's about getting your guys. And that doesn't really bode well for kind of next men up kind of things. The roster's real bad. Game changer. I don't know. Kevin Coleman, maybe Blake Shapen. We don't fucking know. Quarterback, it's bad. Overall, unfortunately, Lebby has like a huge uphill climb. I like the future of this team, just not where they're at right now.
Pretty much fully agree. Jeff Lebby's a slam dunk hire for them. I think that's a perfect fit. I like the addition of Kevin Coleman. And I do like Blake Shapen, just probably not in the SEC. And literally every starter on offensive line is new. The whole defense got a total shakeup.
Yeah.
So it's pretty clear that he's just digging full bore.
They're in year one of like full rebuild.
Yeah, this is full rebuild mode. the fan base, I think, has bought into that, and the
Yeah.
administration has bought into that. So, I like you. I like the future for Mississippi State. I really like the hire.
Yeah.
But this year it's going to be pretty abysmal.
Yeah. Okay. At 14, or do you have them at 15 as well?
I do.
Okay. At 14, I have Arkansas.
Me too.
Oh, nice. 14 at Arkansas. What I like about them? Not a lot. Just not a lot. There's just not a lot there. What I dislike about them, having lots of transfers having to step in and play day one. Game changer, didn't even put one. And then my overall is this team will be just pretty bad. Like, they're so unremarkably bad, in my opinion. Like, I was just like, everything I looked at, I was just like, they're just gonna be bad. There's like nothing there. It's just they're so boring bad, is what they are.
Yep, I agree. I don't know how Sam Pittman still has his job.
Dude, for real.
Don't know what they're thinking, to be honest with you. They have a Boise State transfer at quarterback, Taylon Green. That's just probably not going to cut it in the SEC.
No.
This roster's pretty terrible. I don't expect him to make it through mid-November as the head coach. I think Arkansas is about to be in a real bad way.
Yep. I agree with that. So looking back on this, I might have changed this up a little bit, just kind of just going back in my mind. But at 13 for now, I think I would raise them up a little bit and drop a couple teams down. But for 13, I have Florida.
Woo! Wow. Yeah, that's a bit different.
Yeah. So I think being fully transparent here, I think if I were doing over, I would just flop. I have South Carolina above them. I would flop South Carolina into that 13.
That's who I have at 13.
Yeah, but I'm just gonna say I'm gonna flop that into 13. So I'm gonna put South Carolina at 13. But spoiler alert, not high on Florida. So out my South Carolina notes are so dumb. South Carolina, what I like, not a lot outside of Nick Harbor. What I dislike, Nick Harbor didn't go to Oregon, that fucking shithead. It's literally what I wrote down.
Legit.
Game changer. Nick Harbor. Especially, this is actually real though, because if he makes the Olympics, he's not competing this year.
What?
If he can run, he's a sprinter.
I know.
If he makes the Olympics, it'll interfere.
Yeah, it makes him ineligible.
Well, it won't. No, it doesn't make him ineligible. He just he'll be training for the Olympics, so he won't be doing football.
The Olympics are in July.
Yeah, but it's not like he's going to be training for it the whole time.
So he can't be ready for football in September? Or
Guess
can't
not,
come
man.
back in October?
I don't know. I don't know.
Or is he just retiring from football?
I don't know. There were things that I saw that it said if he makes the Olympics,
Man, that's wild.
He'll miss his sophomore season.
That's pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So overall, I just said they're going to be in the bottom tier of the SEC again.
Yep. South Carolina, what I want to like Beamer ball. I do like Beamer ball.
I'd like Beamer ball.
There's just not a whole lot going on here for me. I think Brock Vandegrift coming from Georgia is potentially a difference maker. Man, if they don't have Nicholas Harbor, he has no weapons though at all. So overall outlook, I think South Carolina is probably a pretty big, to me, step up from Arkansas, Mississippi State, and Vanderbilt, but they're the bottom of that next tier up.
Yeah. Really quickly on Nick Harbor, it has a lot to do with him missing football camp. Because the Olympics begin July 26th, and football camp begins August 1st.
Okay.
And so like Beamer said, like he totally supports him and like is really happy for that goal, but he would just miss too much with how long like the break is with sprints and stuff to get back and get in. So said it wouldn't be great from a football standpoint because of what he'd miss. But he said that if he gets a chance to run the Olympics, that's something be really, really cool for him. So
he'd miss the whole season because
I
he's missing
would
a couple weeks of camp.
maybe not the whole season, but I would sacrifice a season of football to run at the Olympics.
I'm not.
Wouldn't be a, I know, no, just wouldn't even be a question.
I am fully not blaming the guy for wanting to run the Olympics. I just think it's crazy to me that he would miss 4 months of football because he's missing 2 weeks of camp. Like, that's nuts.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely the outlook right now. I mean, trials are still in June, like, and so they'll just have to see. It's one of those things that like someone asked him for sure, and they had to have an answer, and they had talked about it before. Like the timing's not ideal. So this is what we're gonna say if someone asked us, and then they got asked 2 days ago. So
fair,
cool. So that is my game changer. Cool. So next, I have at 12, I have Auburn. What I like about Auburn.
Ooh, where'd you move Florida to?
13. 11.
Nice.
Yeah. So I have Auburn at 12. I just flopped South Carolina and Auburn and Florida because I had South Carolina high, and then I like going back on it. I was like, I am not high on South Carolina. Why did I put them up there? Yeah. So just looking back on your rankings with a clearer head, I guess.
Sure.
So anyways, Auburn at 11 or at 12. Auburn, what I like, I guess Cam Coleman coming in. He's a 5-star wide receiver. By all accounts, is an absolute stud. What I dislike, Hugh Freeze. What the fuck is he doing? His team is off the rails, and he doesn't have a starting caliber quarterback going into the season. What is he doing? He's going to the SEC, and he's like, "Nah, we'll figure out the quarterback later." I don't like Hugh Freeze. I think he's a bad coach. My game changers. I genuinely I don't know. Like, this team is so fucking weird to me. Like, I just genuinely don't know what could make or break this season. Anyways. Overall, I think this team will be pretty miserable. Like, they're gonna like this the bottom half of the SEC, at least bottom half of the SEC. I think it's gonna be Garbo. Like, bad. Not as bad as the ACC bottom half, but bad.
Yeah, so I have Auburn higher than you do. I probably would switch that if I were to redo this. I also realized that I switched up my notes. Brock Vandegrift transferred to Kentucky, not to South Carolina. So I don't know how I screwed that up. But anyway, doesn't matter. Doesn't change my rankings. At 12, I do have Kentucky. What I like is Brock Vandegrift. I also really like Mark Stoops with this team. Again, if you just look at the talent gap, I just think it's pretty wild to me. So I have Kentucky at 12. I have Auburn a little higher.
Okay. At 11, I have Florida. What I like about Florida, am I crazy that I actually like Graham Mertz? Like, no, I like it. It seems like people shit on him all the time. I like him. But also, doesn't it feel like he played at Wisconsin in like 2013?
Yeah, it does.
Like, it seems like
there's a lot of those guys.
Yeah,
that's what people were saying about Bo Nix. So
yeah, he's one of those guys. Just feels like he's been playing in college football forever. But I like him. I think he's a good starting quarterback. What I dislike, Billy Napier. I don't think he's the guy. There's that, like, I mean, obviously there's a ton of friction, and he just keeps being kind of shitty about it too. He's just overall, I just don't see it. He's not a good dude. Like, he's not a great coach by any stretch. That the recruiting has been poor. If he's like, if he doesn't have like a massive season this season, I think he's gone. But anyway,
Interesting that you say recruiting's been poor. They have the 4th best class
do they?
this year in the SEC.
I thought in the SEC, yeah, but like you think that's Florida standards though, right? Like Florida standards.
I mean,
they
you're
want
going
more
up
than that.
against Georgia, Alabama, and Texas at that
True.
point.
True. What was I looking at that it was his recruiting was poor? Anyways,
I think it had been to start.
Yeah.
tenure.
My game changer for them is actually DJ Lagway. Hear me out here. Florida's schedule is absolutely fucking brutal. Like on top of Billy Napier not being a great coach, in my opinion. I wouldn't be surprised that at the end of the season he's not Hail Marrying and putting in their backup DJ Lagway, who's a 5-star, to like try to get things looking up for boosters or whatever who are trying to get him fired. And I think he'd come in, maybe he can make some waves because he's like an unknown. This is my game changer. Overall, pretty low on this team. I don't think Napier is the guy, and Florida should just move on.
Interesting.
Yeah.
At 11, I have Texas A&M. I think Mike Elko is a great hire. This is going to go on with my theme that I think first-year head coaches, it's just going to be tough. It's less of an uphill battle than it used to be with the transfer portal and stuff. It's just really hard to turn around a culture and everything and see immediate success. But I think Texas A&M is going to be a force in the SEC moving forward because I think Mike Elko is a good coach. Connor Wegman is legit, so he could be the difference maker that brings this team further than I expect them to be and move them up in these rankings. I was very up and down with this team. So somewhere in the 9, 10, 11 range felt right, and I just landed at 11. I also just really don't like Texas A&M, so
Fair.
put them lower.
Totally fair.
All right, I'll let you do your top 10, Cameron, if you want to throw up some graphics, and then I will do mine after you.
Okay, my top 10 is Kentucky at number 10. I'm a little higher on them than you are. I also like the Vandergrift transfer. What I like about them is they are speed. They have so many fast dudes. It seems Stoops is really trying to lean into like doing something a little bit different. They honestly remind me of like those retro like Oregon teams, like 2012, not 2012. Obviously, they're not that good, but like that's what they're trying to go for. It seems like. What I dislike, something got corrupted here. Apparently, Billy Napier again.
That's like I didn't like Brock. I liked Brock Vandagriff at South Carolina.
Yeah. What I dislike again, I'll just go off the cuff here. Talent, they just don't quite have the talent other teams have. But I think they're trying to get around that with their game changer, which is speed, with a lot of E's and D and one D. So that's my game changer for them. If they can really lean into the speed aspect of it, I think they could surprise some people. Overall, like I marked this team like they're pretty good. They're not like they're kind of like, and I don't mean this as a slight. I mean this like they're very in the Power 4. They are very mid. Like they're not going to be great. They're not going to be bad. They're just going to be there, and they're going to do some cool things, and they're going to do some dumb things, and that's just kind of how they are. It's kind of in the middle. Next at number 9, I have Texas A&M. Like you, I like the Elko hire. What he did at Duke was like pretty amazing, so I think he's a great coach. What I dislike is just the general Texas A&M vibe. You talked about Clemson being a cult. Like they're a fucking cult, dude. They like do like weird chant shits.
Oh,
I don't
creepy.
Yeah. And like I always feel like they should be better than they are. They have so they lost a shitload of talent in the transfer portal. They got some back, but they lost a shitload of talent. including a 5-star receiver to Oregon. Go Ducks. But like it's so I just don't like their vibe just in general. My game changer for them is Nick Scourton off the edge. He is a guy out of Purdue. He was basically unblocked. He was like basically the only good player at Purdue last year. If he can repeat that season and kind of do it in the SEC, he can make this defense real nice. So overall, like I feel like I said, they should be pretty good. Go ahead. Oh,
Just
sorry.
when you're done with this.
Okay, I feel like they should be pretty good, which means they'll probably continue to be mid and a total cult.
Yeah, they are. I'm going to do my 10 and 9 because, spoiler alert, our 8 through 1 is identical. So
Okay.
we can do those together. I'll do my 10 and 9 real fast here.
Totally.
Not to throw Cameron for a loop, but got to keep him awake over there.
I got it, baby girl.
At 10, I have Florida. I like this team. I'm not nearly as low on Billy Napier as you are. I think he is kind of a garbage person, but I think it's finally starting to turn around for them. Unfortunately for Billy Napier in Florida, if you're a Florida fan, is as the team's starting to turn around and the talent is starting to increase, that schedule that they have is an that might be the single hardest college football schedule I have ever seen.
Yeah, Michigan's is also really hard. We haven't gotten there yet, but
this schedule is a fucking terror. Just terrible. We talk about the SEC and their cupcake games. Not here.
No.
Oh my God, dude. This is brutal. About as brutal as it gets. So I'm just going to go through it for the listener just because it's unbelievable to me at how difficult this is. They start off the season against Miami, which, if you remember, is the second best team I have in the ACC. Then they get their one cupcake of the season, and that is Samford. They then have Texas A&M at home, and then at Mississippi State, so that's a softball, but it's still a conference game. They have UCF at home. That's probably a win. UCF's not what UCF used to be.
They're still pretty good, though.
And then after UCF, they have a gauntlet that looks like this. At Tennessee, home against Kentucky, bye week, neutral site against Georgia, at Texas, home against LSU, home against Ole Miss, at Florida State. That is just brutal to end the season. Like, they may legitimately lose, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the last 7 games of the year. And they're not that bad, but they might lose every single one of those games.
Yeah.
So I have them at 10, power ranking wise. Like, if we're just looking at the best football teams, I think I have them at 10. Don't be surprised if ranking, like overall record ranking at the end of the season, they're down in the 12-13 range in the SEC, just because that is as brutal as it gets in football scheduling. So I think Florida's going to be pretty good, but it's just not going to show in the win-loss column. At 9, I have Auburn. This is probably our biggest disparity. Again, don't like Hugh Freeze. I don't like most of the SEC or what they're about or just about anything down there. But they brought in a lot of skill position talent at Auburn this year. The one thing that probably would knock them down if I was to redo this is ton of QB question marks. And much like in the ACC power rankings, it's hard for me to rank teams high if you don't know who your signal caller is.
Like, to me, it's like, it's not even like the reason I knocked them so far is like, it's not a question mark. Like, the two guys they have are bad. Not good.
Yeah, they're bad. No doubt about it. But I mean, 9th in the SEC, which has 16 teams, you're in the bottom half of the conference. And like you said, the disparity between the top half and the bottom half in the SEC is large. So while 9, like they made my graphic and everything, it's not that impressive in this conference. They're not going to be very good. They don't have the gauntlet Florida has, so they're probably going to end up maybe better, but they're going to be pretty bad. All right, let's move on to our 8 through 1 since they are identical.
Okay. Number 8, Oklahoma.
That
What
just sounds so weird.
I know. What I like about Oklahoma is they had a pretty good defense for the Big 12. So I'm interested to see how that will translate into the SEC, which historically their offenses aren't nearly as good as Big 12 offenses. And I mean, if you look at like Oklahoma State last year, like still that holds true, right? But yeah, so their defense is pretty good. It'll be interesting to see how it translates to the SEC. It could help them out a lot. Do you want to go what you like?
Sure. They have a lot of talent on paper. I too like their defense. Brett Venables is a defensive coach, so no surprise there. What I don't like, moving to the SEC. I think the talent gap is larger than it was in the Big 12. I don't think that's a secret at all, but I think they're going to struggle a little bit in areas that they were able to cover up in the Big 12. Difference maker Jackson Arnold. How quickly can he adjust to a brand new O-line and a new go-to wide receiver? Overall feeling, lots of talent. Middle of the road in the SEC feels about right.
Yeah, so what I don't like about them is they have a new O-line, completely new O-line, a new QB, and a new wide receiver to break in. That's really rough going into a place that has pretty damn good defenses. My game changer is also Jackson Arnold. If he has an insane first year, like, sure, they could win some games. My overall feeling is if wasn't for the bottom half of the SEC being largely abysmal, I would have this team much lower. Talent wise, they're still good. They're not quite what we're used to for Oklahoma, but like they're still good. They're really young.
Yep.
They're really young. And so I think, again, if it weren't for the bottom half of the SEC being what it is, they'd be lower.
7, LSU. I'll just start this one. What I like, they're missing a lot, but they're returning a lot of talent, especially on the defense side of the ball. They're missing a lot on offense. That's what I don't like. Garrett Nussmeier has a big load to carry, big shoes to fill with the departure of the Heisman winner, JT Daniels. But we'll see. What the other don't like that I have is Brian Kelly. I just think he's a bad coach. And so despite whatever talent they have, they are still going to be held back by Brian Kelly.
Nice. So my for them is their offensive line. Yay, we got to talk about offensive line. Their O-line is going to be gangbusters this upcoming year. That'll be good for presumably Nussmeier. But yeah, their offensive line is going to be a unit to like contend with. And that's why I have them as high as they are. I'd probably have them a lot lower if it weren't for their offensive line being as good as it's going to be. What I dislike about that, no secret here. I've been a hater from day one on this podcast. I just don't see it. Haven't seen it. Brian Kelly, don't get it. Don't get it.
Yep.
My game changer is whether or not they can bounce back after losing 3 to 8 generational players. My overall is, I mean, this is my notes exactly. I mean, they lost 4 games with a Heisman winner and number 2 overall pick and 2 receivers who should have both been a top 10 pick. What do I think about them without that?
Yep.
Their recruiting class is good, like great, right? And like their transfer is great. They didn't replace those guys. Sorry, like they didn't even moneyball those guys. So, what do you do?
I agree. This is the bottom of the second tier in the SEC to me.
Yeah.
don't be surprised if LSU loses 5-6 games.
Oh, I won't be surprised at all.
All right. At 6, we've both got Tennessee. What I like, Nico Iamaleava in Josh Heupel's offense. He's an unknown, so it's hard for me to say that's what I like. But from what it sounds like out of camp, he's the real deal. And Josh Heupel and that offense, I think he can cook. What I don't like, their secondary is scary.
And not in the
good
fun
way. Not in the fun way. Defense has been Tennessee's kryptonite since Heupel took over. That is going to continue. Difference maker is Nico. Tennessee just has to outscore everybody, and that's what they have to do. So, if Nico can be what they think he is, they're going to go as he goes. Overall feeling, I feel good about Tennessee. Too many question marks on defense for me to get them in the top tier of the conference.
I am almost word for word what you have. Here are my exact notes. No changing. What I like, Josh Heupel's offense in Nico Iamaleava's hands. It showed moments of brilliance last year when he started a couple games just like at the end.
Yep.
So I expect him to get more consistent in this year, in his second year. What I dislike, defense. They're still really bad. My game changer is easy Nico pick here. And then my overall is I like this team. I don't love this team. Defense needs a lot of work, and their QB still needs some breaking in. That being said, I think the SEC is going to be fairly weak outside of its top 4 or 5 teams. So there's a lot of opportunity to win.
Yeah. So we agree.
Yeah.
At 5, we've got Missouri. Almost all the starters on offense are back, with the one hole at running back being filled with Georgia State transfer Marcus Carroll. I like this team a lot. So not much to like, especially on the offensive side of the ball. On the defense side of the ball, they lost 5 defensive starters to the draft. That is tough to replace if you are a school like Missouri. The difference maker is, can the defense fill those gaps left by the draftees? So the thing that's going to keep them out of that top 4, which is what I believe the top tier of the conference, is I just don't think the defense going to be up to the task of keeping up with those top tier offenses.
Yep. 1 second, I have to look something up real quick. Just real quick, like boys and girls. Any listener here, just make sure I'm not crazy here. Okay, yeah. Okay, so what I like about Missouri is their coach's first name. And honestly, his last name too, because Drinkowitz is like kind of a fucking dope ass name. But in reality, I like their returning talent a lot. They have a lot of it, especially on the offensive side of the ball, which is very important nowadays, in the way the game is played now. So I really like that continuity there. What I dislike is their losses as well. Schrader Schrader losing eligibility and Blake Baker going to LSU is rough, but old Eli can cover that. My game changer is Marcus Carroll. With losing the SEC's leading rusher last year, this guy is going to be the one they lean on to open up their passing game, which is going to be desperately needed in this league. My overall is I really love this team. Unfortunately, I don't see them repeating the same season they had last year. I guess I don't have them that far out, but they were 3rd or 4th in the SEC last year. So I have them at 5. So I guess I'm not that far away, but I still expect them to compete with everyone.
It's fair. All right, at 4, we both have Bama. What I like, Kalen DeBoer. just a proven winner everywhere he goes, and now he's stepping into the most talent that he's ever had by a long shot. This team's still loaded. So a loaded Alabama team with a ton of talent, and DeBoer's track record gives me not much reason to doubt Alabama remaining in the top tier of the SEC. What I don't like, slight loss of depth in the portal. Nothing catastrophic. I think Alabama is still going to be really strong. This top tier is pretty head and shoulders above the rest for me. Difference maker is Jalen Milroe. With the top three being as good as they are, and we'll talk about them, I think the Tide will go as far as Jalen Milroe takes them. And my overall feeling, this is typical Alabama. I'm not really used to seeing them in the 4 slot. This is low for Alabama standards, but make no mistake about it, this is still a powerhouse football team that's going to win a lot of football games.
Yeah, it does feel low to put Alabama at 4. What I like about this team, it's Alabama. They're fucking loaded. They're to the teeth with 5 stars. Like they, yep. They're loaded. What I dislike about Alabama is they lost an absolute legend at coach. Like I think Kalen DeBoer is a great hire for them. I guess we'll see how well he can hold up. But if you're losing a legend, you're gonna take a step back, right? At least in year 1. So that's probably why they're a little bit lower, because like talent wise, you can put them at 1 easy. But my game changer is Kalen DeBoer. Can he follow in like the greatest college football coach of all time? Can he follow those footsteps? Can he blaze a trail of his own and make this team something he's proud of, rather than just like coattailing it off of Nick Saban? Overall, it's Alabama. They're going to be in the conversation. I think a little bit less so since losing Saban. I think, Kalen DeBoer is a great coach. Don't get me wrong. So they'll still be in the conversation, but it's not going to be. They're not going to have the Saban effect behind them as well. So I think we'll see less of Alabama this year.
3, we've got Ole Miss. Arguably the winners of the transfer portal this offseason. Lane Kiffin went into that thing and did work. They got more than half of their starters on defense coming out of the portal, and their offense looks to pick up right where it left off. What I don't like, can Lane Kiffin win the big ones? Historically, that answer is no. That's what needs to happen for this team to make a jump into the top of the SEC. Difference maker, Jackson Dart. Can he continue what he started and improve on it? And then the defense's ability to gel with so many starters coming from the transfer portal. Overall outlook, on paper, Ole Miss looks like a playoff contender. I wouldn't be surprised to see them win the SEC. I wouldn't be surprised to see them lose games that they shouldn't lose, because that's just kind of how Lane Kiffin does it.
Yep. What I like about this team is their transfer portal. They like you said, they killed it. I also like just Lane Kiffin in general. I probably should be talking about like more about their transfer portal and shit, but like I used to fucking hate Lane Kiffin, and now he's like one of my favorite coaches.
Yeah,
and that's a real character arc that I can appreciate from the man. Lane Kiffin is what I like about this team. Obviously they're going to be really good. What I dislike about this team, not a lot, honestly. Like going through what they have, their depth, their, like you said, the transfer portal. Like this team, like you said, on paper looks like a playoff ready team. There's the question of if Lane can win the big one. So there's that. My game changer is replacing Quinton Judkins. It's not an easy task. In college football, an elite running back can really change the way your game is played. Like they can really open up a really nice passing game if you can run the shit out of a ball. It's not an easy task, but if they can find an effective run game, watch out. I think Jackson Dart does take another step forward, and I think he's going to be pretty good this year. Overall, I really like this team. I think if you dropped them in the ACC or the Big 12, they would win it by a mile. Unfortunately for them, they have two nearly flawless teams above them. So that's why they're in 3. They have nearly flawless teams above them.
Yeah, so these next two we could probably fly through because I agree with you. These teams are absolutely poised. Like, I will be shocked if Texas and Georgia do not make or Georgia don't make the playoff. Shocked. Texas is absolutely stacked, pretty much from head to toe. Just stacked, and it does, like, you don't even have to get to Quinn Ewers or Arch Manning. The rest of this team is loaded. What I don't love about this team is navigating the SEC. Texas struggled in the Big 12 with the quote-unquote trap games. The SEC gauntlet is a different animal, so we'll see how they navigate that. One fewer conference game does help them, though.
Yeah.
Difference maker, much like Lane Kiffin, can Steve Sarkisian win the big games? He's shown, and very clearly against Washington, that he gets flustered and buckles under pressure. And when that pressure is ratcheted up on a week in, week out basis in the SEC, is he going to be able to keep up and keep his cool? I don't know. So if you're talking about a clear distinction between Texas and Georgia, look no further than the head coach. Other than that, the talent on the teams, everything about Texas is national championship contender level. I question Sark's ability to get it done.
Fair. Yeah, like you said, what I like about this team is that they're just absolutely stacked with talent. What I dislike about this team, I don't love Quinn Ewers. I think he is really, really good. But like, he doesn't rustle my jimmies like an elite quarterback should, you know? It's just not there. Like, like I watch him play and like you see these moments of just absolute pure brilliance at the position. But most of the time he looks like a decent quarterback, right? Like, I don't know, like maybe it's just that he's not electrifying and that's like fine because that's not what he's asked to do. But like I watch it, I'm like, it's kind of boring to watch. Like, he's not like super exciting to watch.
I can see that.
Yeah. So that's the thing I don't like about Texas. Game changer, same thing. You have Ken Sark shine in the moments that he needs to shine. In injuries. Like this team like had some key injuries this year that really hurt some momentum at times. It didn't necessarily cost them the games, but the injuries they've been hit with the injury bug every now and then, and that you just can't really do that in college football and win it all. So,
all right, and Georgia, what I like, everything. That's pretty much it. What I don't like, I've talked about the schedule a few times. I tried to avoid it in my power rankings analysis because I try not to do it. But with Georgia in particular, I was searching for something to not like because there's not a lot. And they do have a tough schedule. It's not as tough as Florida's, but it is rough. So that if there was one thing, it would be that. I'm not in love with Carson Beck. Everybody's like, he's the number 1 draft pick. I don't see that out of him. I think he's good. And with the talent that he has around him, he is 100% capable of leading Georgia to a national championship. So I'm not questioning that. But if you're like twist my arm, try to find something that I don't love about Georgia, it's that I don't think Carson Beck is necessarily a stud quarterback. Overall feeling championships are the expectation at Georgia under Kirby Smart, and they're in the driver's seat for not only the SEC but probably to win it all.
Yep. Mine is what I like is this team is nearly flawless, and they have the best coach in the country. But like, don't get me wrong, as a homer for Oregon, I love Dan Lanning. He's not Kirby Smart. Kirby Smart currently is the best coach in college football. I don't think it's really that close right now. What I dislike, literally nothing about this team except for the fact that they play in the SEC. I hate the SEC. That's it. So that sucks. And then my game changer is Carson Beck. Maybe but the only way I see him changing the game is in a bad way. Like if he doesn't live up to what he should be or what he can be or what he was last year, then I can see him game changing the wrong way. But that's the only thing that can happen. Like rough. Like I said, overall, this team is one of, if not my favorite, to win it all. And that shouldn't be a controversial statement at all. So,
nope. Yeah. So to recap, I think we're both kind of on the same page here. The SEC remains and will remain top heavy, with the top tier separating itself pretty heavily from the rest of the pack.
Yeah. And the thing about this is like the top four, probably the top five, are like those are like they're crushingly good. Everyone else, I'm like a lot of people beat them. Yeah. But
exactly.
Yeah.
All right. That was our long-winded ACC and SEC preview. We had to combine this one to start getting into the rest of the meat and potatoes. Before we get to the rapidly approaching begin of college football. It is not far away, gents, as we head into summer.
I know. I'm excited.
I don't know who did it last time, but I still have a 2-hour drive ahead of me tonight. So I'm going to let you do the buzzer beater.
Why don't we let Cameron do it?
Cameron, you're going to do the buzzer beater. Eli, why don't you tell the listener that you love them?
Listener, we love you. Thanks for being here. And listening to our long takes on how bad Billy Napier is. Thank you to Zeta June for letting us use your music. It's really dope of you guys to let us do that. Thanks to super producer Cameron, our buzzer beater of the day boy, for the super producing. It's the stream looks great. The socials are looking solid. So we appreciate that, my guy. And with that, super producer Cameron, hit us with that buzzer beater, my guy.
Buzzer beater's pretty straightforward. College Football 25 comes out July 19th, but you can get it 3 days early if you pre-order the deluxe edition.
Deuces. Fucking ad.